Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introducing us from Group 3, we will like to present the result of our discussion regarding the oral test. Before that, we would like to thank Ms. Suhani as the teaching lecturer who has provided a group to present the result of our discussion. Introduce me, Fitria Aryani, and my friends Hikmatul Gibran, Yani Novitasari, and Friska Salviana, and Fatimah Mardatila. Okay, we will explain about definition of oral tests. Oral tests are a type of assessment that evaluates students' knowledge and skill based on the spoken word. Typical guides by question or small tests, oral assessment can take on many forms, including oral presentation, oral examination, or interview, interactive oral assessment, class participant, group discussion, debates, dialogues, poster session, and exhibition. Okay, oral exam can be conducted as a standalone assessment or as a follow-up to other work, such as written exam. Nah, jadi dapat disimpulkan, tes lisan adalah itu sebuah penilaian yang digunakan untuk mengukur sebuah pengetahuan dan keterampilan siswa. Nah, untuk mengukurnya itu bisa berdasarkan kata-kata yang diucapkannya. Nah, kata-kata yang diucapkan ini biasanya dipandu oleh pertanyaan yang diberikan kepada siswanya atau tugas yang diberikan. Nah, tugas lisan ini bisa berbentuk seperti presentasi lisan, ujian lisan, atau wawancara, tugas lisan interaktif, partisipan kelas, diskusi di dalam sebuah kelompok, debat, dialog, sesi poster, dan pameran. Nah, ujian lisan ini dapat dilaksanakan sebagai sebuah penilaian yang berdiri sendiri atau sebagai tindak lanjut dari pekerjaan lainnya seperti ujian tertulis. Okay, the next material explained by Hikmatul Gibran.
Advantages of oral assessment. Oral assessment takes account of theory and enables students to develop verbal communication skills that will be evaluated in their future careers. Can assess depth of knowledge and skills, allowing for a more comprehensive view of students' abilities confide the process. And conceptual misunderstanding, opportunity for interaction, leading to a great sense of connection for instructor and student, particularly in the remote environment. More authentic form of assessment if students are solving problem, demonstration skill, and communication using the disciplinary language and scenarios. Plus, may increase learning as students spend more time preparing for oral exam. Opportunity for clarification of ambiguous question in the moment. Can prevent some academic integrity issue because follow-up question can be asked to clarify student thinking and understanding. Disadvantages of oral assessment. More time to intervene than written exam and not typically stressful for students, which can interfere with their performance. Students may be unfamiliar with the format, leading to fear and anxiety. Oral exam may be particularly stressful for students with mental health concerns. Potential for issue with reliable and fairness if students are asked different questions. Potential for bias and abuseful grading as grading cannot be anonymous students. influence judgment about their knowledge and skill. Potential for academic integrity issue as students can pass on questions to others who are taking the exam later.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatimah Madatila. My NPM 21040028. Now I will explain about oral test criteria. The oral test criteria have 9 points. And the first one, the degree of difficulty, knowledge, content, and amount of the provided, and the maximum score that can be achieved by each test taker should be estimated the same. And second, if the test taker still cannot provide an answer until the time provided is up, they should move to the next test number. And 3, when reading the test, the examiner may use the examiner's own words as long as the essence is the same. And fourth, examiners are prohibited from asking further questions that are not written on the on the test sheet. And 5, give point based solely on the quality of the test taker answers. And 6, oral tests can be used if they are provided to the competency at the level of knowledge to be assessed. 8, questions should not come out of existing teaching materials. 9, questions are expected to encourage students to construct their own answer. And the last, organize from simple question to complex question. So I'm sorry, there are 10 criteria on the oral test. So I think that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yani Novitasari. My NPM 210400034. I will continue the next material about consideration when designing and implementing oral assessment. Step 1. Decide on appropriate assessment strategies for your learning outcomes. First, decide which learning outcomes should be assessed through this method. Second, decide how you will use oral assessment to complement other assessment of the two learning outcomes, take-home, exams, group or individual reports. Oral assessment are best suited to providing the depth of knowledge or skill. 2. Decide what alternative assessment option will be available for students who may be disadvantaged by or less comfortable with oral assessment. Students with hearing or speech impairments, anxiety, non-native speakers. Step 2. Create question and structure of the assessment. First, design appropriate question for each learning outcome. Focus on deep rather than breadth. Include potential follow-up question and prompt based on different types of answer. Asking students to clarify an unclear point or provide more detail. Next, standardize the number of questions, difficulty of question, and the time allotted. Next, decide on the order of question and any task student must perform. Example, whiteboard drawing, screen sharing. Start with easier question to ease student into the exam. Next, determine how and when you will vary the question across students. Use of different scenarios. Step 3. Create a grading scheme. First, create a rubric or scoring guide with the explicit criteria or standard, weighting, and model answer for each question. Often, with the oral assessment, answers are not necessarily right or wrong but demonstrate different level of mastery. The scoring guide should be straightforward enough that you can fill it in during the oral assessment. Next, decide if prompting means that points will be deducted. Step 4. Prepare students and create practice opportunities. First, provide clear information to students about the content to be covered, the process and structure of the oral assessment, the material they can have available and the grading criteria. Give students opportunities to ask questions about the assessment. Next, provide practice opportunities. Students are often not experienced in expressing themselves oral within the discipline. Build informal opportunities for speaking in class and share presentation activities with the time for discussion and feedback. Next, share a record video demonstrating a typical oral assessment. Model relevant question and answer and how they will be graded. Step 5. Conduct the assessment. Decide whether then to use multiple examiners, which can help manage time, take notes, solve technique issue, and grade reliability. Next, some students will need more encouragement as they may be shy or nervous. Shyness should not affect your perception of what the student knows. Next, consider recording the assessment in the case of grade apples and share it with students if they want to debrief or request feedback on their performance. Okay, that's all the explanation from me. Thank you for your attention and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Friska Salvina, my NPM 21040053. So I will explain the next material about oral assessment techniques. Oral assessment can be carried out using the following techniques. There are 9 techniques. One is before carrying out the oral test, educators have carried out an inventory of the various types of questions that will be asked to students, so that they can be expected to have high validity in both in terms of content and construction. 2 is prepare deadlines and approximate forms of answers so that you have definite criteria for scoring and are not confused by answers that are long and complicated. 3. The score is determined when each student has finished being tested so that the score or given is not influenced by the answers given by other students. 4 is the test given should not deviate or change the direction from evaluation to discussion. 5. To uphold objectivity and the principle of justice, educators are not permitted to provide fresh air or provoke with certain words or codes that are helpful to students for reasons or pity or sympathy. 6. The oral test must take place naturally. This means not to cause fear, nervousness, or panic among students. 7. Educators have time deadlines for students to answer questions or question in oral tests. Each is the question asked should be varied in the sense that even though the core of the question being asked is the same, the way the questions are asked is different or varied. 9 is the tests are carried individually one by one so as not to affect the mental health of other students. Next, the example from oral test form. The subject is IPA, Class 2, Competency Standards. Get to know the various of objects and their uses and the changes in the form they can undergo. Learning material. 1. Properties of liquids. 2. Property of solid objects. And 3. Changes of objects. Oral test assessment question for oral test fixed from its property of object. Always following is the nature of things. The change from solid to liquid is cold, and the change of an object from liquid to solid is cold. Like this, read expects and maximum score. Pronunciations, maximum score is 5. Courage, maximum score is 5. Word choice, maximum score also 5. And a speed of repeat, maximum score is 5. And total is 20. final value, the total score obtained by student, like 100.